The Brazilian Grand Prix was an event that held so many incidents that one might begin to lose count. As is customary with the Grand Prix, we witnessed a whole lot of emotion from the drivers to the fans and the technical teams. A whole lot of happenings surrounded the events and you could feel the energy even from a mile away. One incident that stood out was the collision between Max Verstappen of Red Bull and Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes. This collision has raised a whole lot of questions among racing aficionados on who or what caused the collision. The question on everyone's lips is who caused the collision between both drivers in their struggle for the top dog. Just to note, Verstappen had come into the race as a favourite to top the World Championships, and a loss wouldn't have affected that stance. So why then did the collision happen? What was the motive behind this, or was Hamilton baiting him? Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel, and we're delighted that you're joining us as we discuss and delve into the world of racing and sport. On today's episode, we'll be tuning into the spotlights on the collision between Verstappen and Hamilton. We would be asking the question on everyone's mind and trying as much as possible to dissect the issue. Before we get into it, kindly follow us on our journey, bringing you great content by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, like this video and turn on our post notifications to get up-to-date drops of every bit of our content.
Here comes Sebastian Vettel! Through goes Hamilton! Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix!
Two kings tussle. The battle for last year's World Championship was fought down to the last minute as both Verstappen and Hamilton tussled to be the better. This was a heated, contested race as both drivers were determined to settle for a better finish. They connived and competed for every twist and turn as they tried to outmaneuver themselves on the racetrack. These memories were some that everyone would have enjoyed, seeing as two legendary racers were fighting for glory. However, at this year's championships, the competition has been stiffer and more competitive. With Verstappen in the lead, he already won the championship with only a few points needed to claim the title. Would an ovation be allowed for the king? As the race was getting heated and the drivers were pushing their vehicles to the brink of their possibility, both Verstappen and Hamilton kept at each other. When the collision occurred, it was hard to point fingers, but the drivers had their say on what transpired. According to Max Verstappen, he felt that he was in a better position than his rival, hence he was not responsible for the collision. He said he knew that the collision was going to happen based on the technique of Lewis Hamilton at that point. As both drivers approached turn 1 wheel to wheel, Verstappen believed that it was almost impossible to avoid the collision in turn 2. However, based on what we could see from the race, it was obvious that Hamilton was keeping the Red Bull driver at bay. He had employed a technique that would allow him to go into turn 2 as a favourite and keep Verstappen behind. This was where the whole issue started, as Verstappen was determined to be in a better position as they approached turn 2. On entry to turn 2, Verstappen was already in a compromised position and the inevitable would ensue. The race into turn 2 was already jeopardized as the Red Bull driver collided with Hamilton. In an interview with Sky Sports after the race, an unperturbed Max Verstappen had this to say about the collision. "Actually, I went around the outside and immediately felt he wasn't going to leave space, so I just went for it." Based on this interview, we could see that Verstappen was the one who took the initiative of trying to overtake Hamilton. He also went on to say, "He didn't leave me space, so I knew we were going to get together. It cost him the race win and it gave me 5 seconds. Maybe the collision wasn't needed after all. If we are to consider the current standings, Verstappen was in a position to allow the move pulled by Hamilton, but he either decided to up the ante or was just mischievous. He was already in the lead and the points wouldn't affect his already won place. Verstappen in the interview further went on to say, "It wouldn't have mattered anything for my race, it's just a shame, you know? I thought we could race quite well together, but clearly the intention was not there to race." Interesting, right? What all this just points to is that the collision was avoidable and Verstappen had a huge role to play in what ensued. He was already in a better position, but he just decided to maybe add some spice to the race and bring in some competitiveness, competition, or taunting his opponent. Hamilton, on the other end, was a bit more composed and unperturbed by the outcome of the race and just felt his opponent could have done better. During the post-race interview, a series of questions were thrown at Hamilton to get his opinion about what transpired on the track. According to the Mercedes man, he wouldn't pay attention to his opponent if he didn't understand that due to his status, other drivers would want to have at him. He further went on to say, "I think it's natural when you have the success and numbers on your chest that you become a bit of a target." He concluded by saying that he was already used to these types of approaches. Hamilton was also very brief in answering questions that had to do with Max, and all he said was, "You know how it is with Max." What could that have meant? Was he affirming the fact that Verstappen could be feisty and mischievous? To conclude, it would be fair not to give a rulebook opinion on the incident. Judging by the decisions of the stewards at the race, it was obvious that Verstappen had been complicit in the collision. They went on to say that he decided to brake quite late as they were exiting turn 1 in an attempt to overtake Hamilton on turn 2. So it was the excess speed from late braking that made him collide with Hamilton. He was later punished with a 5-second in-race penalty, which wouldn't have made any dent in the outcome of the championships. We're at the end of another episode, and we would love for you to continue this journey with us, so kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the post notifications to get the latest content we're dropping. Feel free to also drop your opinions and suggestions in the comment section below, as we would love to hear from you, our subscribers. Thanks for staying with us, and we'll see you soon.